true honor to finally get to interview you. I've seen you do some amazing things online, and you're really out there. You're really empowering a lot of people. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. Let's start by making sure I pronounce your name correctly. How do I pronounce your name in the proper pronunciation?
It's Khoa. Khoa.
Khoa.
Yep.
Khoa. Great.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. So let's have a look at your background. So I think you got a really interesting background where okay, so you're born in Singapore and then you went over to Dubai for radio. So could you elaborate a bit about that?
Yeah, so I should probably start at the beginning. I was born in Singapore, raised in Australia, and then I studied in Switzerland. So I speak German, went to, did a year there in Switzerland and still go back all the time. And then after that, moved to Singapore for 4 years, and from Singapore got poached to go to Dubai, not from Australia.
Okay.
So yeah, I went to work for Richard Branson's Virgin Radio, and at that time they were building that station in the Middle East, and now it's like the jewel of their crown in terms of, obviously radio globally is not as profitable as it used to be, but that particular station does very well in that market because everyone drives. So you've really got like a captive audience, and yeah.
That's awesome. And so yeah, but initially you're in that what was it, that radio station, the 98 one, and then eventually they Virgin Australia poached you, right? And then
not Virgin Australia, Virgin International.
Virgin International, yeah.
There is no Virgin Australia to
okay.
To my knowledge. So basically, I was at this like number 15 radio station in Singapore, literally doing the late night show and like sleeping on the couch. When we had like programming meetings during the week, because I would end so late at night, but I was being paid so little that I would just sleep over so I could wake up early for the programming meeting. It was that bad.
Yeah.
And just, cutting your teeth. And only 6 months into that job, my very first radio gig, I got an email from Virgin Radio International from the man who's now like my life mentor, actually, saying, how would you like to come and live and work in the fastest growing city in the world? And prior to the global financial crisis of 2009, Dubai was the fastest growing city in the world. And I was having a really tough time in Singapore because Singapore is the most expensive city in the world for expatriates. So if you are not earning good money in Singapore, it's not that fun of a place to be. It's great now because I'm an adult and I have savings and all that stuff. But, when you're in your early 20s cutting your teeth, I just couldn't wait to get out. I was like, it's hard to even feed myself, on these rates living in a city this expensive. So when they poached me, it was a dream come true.
Yeah, I've been to Singapore. It's it's a beautiful place, and as you're building up your career, I think I saw you on Crazy Rich Asians there. So, so there you go.
Well, I did audition for Crazy Rich Asians. We all did. Everyone in media. Singapore's the country of my birth. It's absolutely amazing. I love living here now as someone in my 30s. In my 20s, like I said, when you don't have money, it's hard. But I wouldn't choose to live anywhere else. And I've lived in 4 countries before the age of 30. This is the place for me right now in my life, I think.
Okay. So, and you briefly mentioned that your dad passed away as well. Sorry to hear that. And this happened at age 19 as well. And I think this was a life-changing event, obviously, that happened to you. So would you mind having a bit of a chat about that?
Yeah. So when I was 19, my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they gave him like 90 days to live. And within the 90 days, he passed away. And it was a really like formative experience for me. I think I grew up, I just come back from Switzerland, and I was just like any other 18-year-old in Australia. I just wanted to party and have a boyfriend and do all those things. This happened, and I really grew up. It really overnight, turned me into an adult. I watched him pass away in front of me. And I think that is the club of us who've watched one of our parents literally leave and their soul leave in front of us. It's such a tiny club. And it's so hard to explain to people who haven't experienced that, how much it changes your life. Like for you to see mortality like that, how it changes the way you live your life. It was almost like I was in the Matrix before, and that took me out of the Matrix is my best way of kind of explaining it. I mean, have you ever been through one of your parents?
I haven't actually been through that, but it's one of my, obviously it's one of my biggest fears. to, get that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just, I was thinking about it after when you were talking about it, and I don't know how I'm going to cope with it, but I guess I just have to, go through it. And I think what you said about that whole experience is that death makes you stronger. So I guess it's like the caterpillar. I was thinking about the caterpillar. You have to lose your legs in order to get your wings, right? So I have to go
I
through
don't
that one
think
day.
death to the individual makes you stronger, because then you'd be dead. But
Mm,
I think adversity and loss and grief,
mm,
those of us who've experienced it, make us really strong. Like, I think a
definitely.
lot of success I've had is because of the depth that that has given me. And I think where you were saying it's your greatest fear, this funny thing is, when you're 19, it's not even a fear that you have. You just assume that
Mm,
your parents will be around for ages. Like, it was not even quiet,
you,
was not
you
even,
don't. It doesn't even. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you don't even expect it. But it's made dealing with mum so much easier, because I know what to anticipate. I know how to manage it.
Mm,
And so for that part of it, I'm grateful. And now it's interesting, because all my friends who are around my age, 36, like, their parents are starting to age, and they're starting, like you, to feel that fear. And I
mm,
think it's a great position to be in, to be able to comfort people and say, it is part of life. It will happen. Um, don't be fearful of it. If anything, it will give you impetus to heal broken relationships with your parents if you have them.
mm,
Uh, and it's going to give you such a depth of experience too. And when you have a deeper sense of experience, I believe it also makes you, it either does two things. You either become very embittered, which of course I have experienced in times of my life.
mm,
The Perth experience, very embittered. But if you manage to process it the right way, it also makes you much more compassionate and empathetic, which I think is the space that I am at right now, which everyone can kind of see.
mm,
But there were years there where I couldn't talk about it. It made me angry to think that a good man who was such a good father and such a good husband would be, taken from his family so young. It didn't make sense to me, but it does now.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think I heard that you did a lot of work on yourself as well. You did a lot of inner child work. You went to therapy, and made you feel more vulnerable as well. You put yourself out there, and yeah, you just did a lot of work on yourself, right? So
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot. And it's
Mm,
never ending. It's like Tony Robbins says, constant and never ending improvement.
mm, mm,
It really is. But it's
mm,
like the best work that you could do. I mean, my partner's like a fitness junkie, and
mm.
he like thinks that like sit-ups and all that is like the best work that you can do.
Yeah.
But since being me, like, I've taken on doing more fitness, and it's also the personal development stuff has rubbed off on him. I've gotten him an executive coach, and he's just seen leaps and bounds what that self-education and clarity can give you. Because I
Mm,
think for many years, and many of us walk around really confused about why we do things, why we react to things the way we do. And it can all be so easily solved. Quite like, you can pick up a book and it can explain to you about trauma and
yeah.
triggers and all of these things. And then you go, oh, that's why I do what I do. And that's why I feel the way I feel. And that builds incredible self-connection. And
Mm,
once we have self-connection, what happens is we connect so much better with others, because other people are not connecting off an avatar of us. They're connecting with authentically who we have. So even in the last 2 years since I've done the work and then processed the work and put the new habits into play, the strength of my personal relationships and the weeding out of the people who were not good for me just becomes so easy, because you really get to know yourself by doing that self-work.
mm, mm. Yeah, definitely. I think you said that. I mean, well, just recently, I mean, you're talking about the value of human connection. And I think you had a lot of experience in working in palliative care, right? Where you were talking to a lot of old people, and they gave you, their regrets as well. And they never spoke about, spending more time at work, or wish they made more money or anything like that. It was all about human connection. So that being said, yeah, you're the specialist of human connection. So, uh,
Well,
yeah.
just to correct, I want to say, I didn't work in palliative care. Like, I just was, when I moved back, I was just a very good Asian daughter, I think,
Mm,
and I
mm, mm, mm.
was around and in the nursing home for hours and hours a day,
Mm,
5 days a week. So I have seen a lot, but I don't want to, in this podcast, discredit at all the real people who work in palliative care, who are like literally angels on their earth. They have to
yeah.
clean old people's bottoms. It's the most unrewarded work that there is. It's like
Yeah.
nurses, carers who are like one of the lowest income bands in Australia, right?
Mm,
They deserve a medal. They're incredible and incredibly patient because they get screamed at by people with dementia and
yeah.
things, and they're still awesome. So big shout out to anyone who's a carer who's watching this. You're incredible.
Mm.
Yeah, so human connection, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, so you're doing this keynote speaking, and you used to do radio as well. So, in regards to, okay, let's have a look at there was also the relationship part as well. You were also single for 8 years. What happened there? You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
interesting.
okay, so as you've discovered,
Mm.
I am not afraid to have a voice, right?
Yep.
You've already discovered from the
Which
beginning
is
of this
awesome.
interview,
Love it. Yeah.
which is great, which didn't always happen. And there's definitely a method, and that's what I teach about. You can be outspoken, but it's
Yeah.
like,
Definitely.
how do your words land, right? It's not just about speaking. It's like when you see a friend that rants on Facebook and it just comes across really awfully. That's because there is no method to how the message lands. So
Mm.
I would like to think that now as I get older, my message lands better because it's informed by a lot more compassion and experience and being more rational.
Mm.
But there were times in that 8 years when I was developing my voice where it wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. And I think that's very difficult for a guy. It's also very difficult if you have a public profile, a public name too. And
Mm.
I'm extremely independent as a result of other family things, which will remain private, but I'm just extremely financially independent and extremely career minded. And I have been since I was a girl at school. And a
Mm.
woman very type A and very career oriented and maybe not so feminine. I'm quite masculine in the way that I am. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to struggle with that a lot. But now that I found someone who loves me as I am, I just embrace it. We
Yeah.
have to have some masculine women on the planet, just like we've
Yeah.
got some
Definitely.
feminine. That's just the way
Mm.
it is.
Yeah.
So I think those are the massive reasons behind that. And also in that 8 years, I lived in 3 countries in that 8 years. So
Mm.
when you're country hopping, you're not committing. You're going to be what, 2 years in a country? You're not. I was 2 years in 5 years in Dubai. So in that 8 years, there was 2 years at the end of Dubai. There was 1.5 years in Perth. Then I moved back to Singapore, and then there was a reign of the years before I met Paul. So
Mm.
unless you're going to commit for someone who's what I call a serial expat, and places like Dubai, New York, Hong Kong, Singapore
Yeah.
are full of people who hop countries like this. Finding a country to commit to is your number one priority. And once you're happy with that location, because you have so much choice, we are blessed. Not everyone is so blessed
Mm.
to have a CV that people want to move around. And once you have that choice, then going, I'm going to stay in this country, fantastic. And I'm going to invest actual furniture and not just IKEA in my apartment and set
Mm.
down some roots. And then after that, you look to finding love. And I
Mm.
think that's, for many of us who country hop, kind of the pattern. So
Mm.
that's what
Mm.
happened for the 8 years.
Beautiful. And I noticed in the background you got some painting. Is that your painting that you're doing at the
Yeah.
moment, or yeah?
So that's going to be sent. So I don't know if you know, I did a series of paintings during our initial lockdown with the theme of human connection.
Mm.
And each one of the paintings is being sent to the people
Oh,
that are in
nice.
them. So they're scenes from the pandemic. So that's a
Mm.
couple.
Mm.
And that's been posted to them in the US. Behind that is a famous Italian opera singer who was photographed by the Associated Press singing outside of her window. And maybe eventually there'll be a speech out of it where I'll show all the
Oh,
people.
beautiful.
Because they're paintings about human connection, but the act of sending them to the people in them is an act of connection itself.
Mm.
So the particular nurses that I painted in Wuhan in China, we couldn't find them. Like, my assistant speaks Mandarin and went to search online. We
Yeah.
couldn't find nurses. So they've been given to, one's been given to a nurse in the infectious disease department in Singapore. Another one's been given to an emergency doctor. So they're already up on my Instagram, but as these
Okay.
people receive them, they'll be taking photos with them. And so it was a project during the beginning of our lockdown, because I used to paint as a kid, and it's nice to revisit it.
Beautiful. It looks amazing. Okay. So there was also, you mentioned the power of thoughts and the law of attraction as well. So I thought that was really interesting what you said about how you've got to a point in your life where the power of your thoughts is really crystallized, where you're really starting to attract a lot of things into your life. So could you elaborate a bit about that one?
Sure. Firstly, we all have the power to do it. It's just
Mm,
whether you're, I think every time things have come true for me, it's not based on my ego wanting things like, hey, I want more followers, but it's based
mm,
on something that the universe thinks that I also need. So when I was 23, like sleeping in that storeroom at Power 98 FM and going through all of that, the universe sent me a colleague who was my mentor, like teaching me radio at that station. I was brand new. Um, and I was having a really tough time in Singapore, really struggling, missed my
mm,
family and also earning nothing. And he was telling me that he had just come back from working in the UAE as a DJ.
mm.
But he wasn't living in Dubai, he was living in Sharjah, one of the neighboring smaller Emirates.
Okay.
And I said, well, did you like it? And he said, I loved it so much. If I wasn't a married man with kids, it's somewhere that I would stay. It's great for singles. And I remember just in that moment, I remember going home, and I still have a hard copy diary to this day. And I wrote in there, um, do 1 year at this radio station and get a reel together and then send it to Dubai. And
Mm.
within weeks, like
Weeks.
weeks, I got an email. Yeah, I got an email from Virgin Radio International saying, how would you like to come live and work in the fastest growing
That
city
is
in the world? And
amazing.
that was the first time. And the funny thing was, I was such a negative person back then because I had so much trauma and so much, not even anger, rage. Anyone who knows anything about therapy and rage, I can tell you the rage that you have from losing someone in your direct family, it's like unleashing a beast. And at that time, it was so funny. Sometimes the rage would blind me so much. I don't even know how the universe like got the message, but I really think if it's something that's not motivated by ego, what you're requesting, and
Mm.
that the universe knows it's what you need, they'll give it to you. The same with Paul. In order to find my partner, I wrote this massive special exercise that a friend who's a coach of mine gave me. Because obviously 8 years is a long time. And other people who'd done this list found
Yeah.
their partners after. And I was like skeptical, but I was like, okay, girls, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And the universe sent me what I needed, not what I wanted. So I was dating, people totally different from Paul. And the
Mm.
universe sent me the kind of man exactly that I needed. And I think now that I know that there's this pattern, I tap into it. So if you've kind of seen the last year of cleansing my energy from the toxic radio station I was working at, moving into an environment where I can choose the players in my environment. So this is what I would say to everyone. If you are in a toxic environment, whether that be toxic family members, toxic workplace, that energy is so thick, it's like a soup. It's going to be, and it's infectious, and it's going to be really difficult for you to find the things, to find that direct line to the universe to get things for you to manifest.
Mm.
But I swear, if you do it, it'll happen. Like I remember going to my TEDx, and I was like, I'm going to get this TEDx online. It's going to be my little part of my mission, and people are going to find me off this TEDx. And then I got an email from one of the biggest companies in the world saying, we would like you to do this speech instead of in front of 14,000 people for our
Mm.
annual conference in Korea.
Mm.
And the rate of that speech is like what people in the Southeast Asian speaking industry are earning after 20 years in the industry. And it was just amazing. And then of course, COVID happened. So it's now been postponed to
Yeah.
next year, but I would rather wait till next year than do it as a virtual event, because I love that human connection, right?
Yeah.
I like doing it as a virtual.
That's what you do best. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but the funny thing is, again, I had the thought. So it's like having that thought is like planting that seed. And conversely, it means having those negative thoughts are planting the negative seeds. So
Mm.
I had to train my brain from being like a negatively geared trauma baby. Because you know how the brain works to keep us safe, right? Fine.
Yeah. You got the three brains and reptile brain. Yeah. Trying to keep you
Yeah,
safe. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So reptile brain, fight or flight mode. But generally, those of us who experienced trauma before, big T or little t trauma, you just have this kind of brain that wants to keep you safe. And that also makes you more negative and have limiting beliefs to keep you safe.
Mm.
When I learned to eliminate those, the speed at which I believe the universe could get to me is like ridiculous. Like people are always like, Simone, how have you happened? There's been a pandemic. How have you done this? How have you done that? And I think it's literally because I rewired my brain, and I got rid of any negative influences, including family. Anybody negative or who didn't want the best for me or was a secret hater, I just cleared the debt. And does amazing
Awesome.
things, guys. So do it, guys. I love you too much if you're watching this for you not to do it.
Love it, love it. I always believe that the universe adheres to a vacuum. So let's say that you've got a wardrobe. If you empty the wardrobe, it's going to get filled up with new clothes. It's just the way the universe works. So
Yes.
you went ahead and just cleared out your circle, cleared out everything, and emptied your barn. You did the whole Marie Kondo on your mind, and then now you're attracting. You've made way to attract all these opportunities into your life. That's amazing. That's so cool.
It's been wonderful. And let me tell you what my previous blueprint was, or a couple of things.
Mm.
My previous blueprint used to be, you're getting older, you gave your best years to your mum, now you're too old for entertainment, no one will want you, too old to date. That was when I moved to Singapore in 2015 at one of my other quite low points after dealing with a lot of family stuff back in Perth. That was my thought process. And of course, then when you're thinking like that, you manifest bad dates, you manifest bad colleagues, bad bosses, bad jobs. Like you attract all of that because you literally, there's like a self-loathing, right?
Mm.
And that mindset is a different human. And then the second thing I want to say about manifestation is, I also, if for anyone watching this, if this goes onto YouTube, want you to know that I understand that I, was born into a middle-class family, and there's privilege involved in that. There is blessings that people like us have been given, that people in the third world, for example, are manifesting as well. That, I understand that manifestation in this discussion is very much a first world discussion, is what I just want to acknowledge. We've been given tools that we've been lucky enough to be born with. So I think that also needs to be said. Once you've traveled around enough, you know that a roll of the dice of what country you're born into, what passport you held, that's the universe at play in a different way. And any of us who are lucky enough to be watching this on a device are blessed.
So if you lost everything and you were to do all over again, what would you do?
I would have, okay, this is tough. I would have never, this is tough because I don't believe in regret really, but what I can say to any of the younger people on here, and I actually was experiencing this the other day with my own assistant and just talking to her about stuff. Never ever sign a contract in a moment of vulnerability for yourself, where you're feeling low about yourself. Never do that. The universe will take care of you. You don't have to do that. That would be my thing.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So, okay. What about the happiest moment of your life? What would it be?
Oh my God, every day I wake up.
So you're dancing,
I remember going to the therapist, when I first moved to Singapore, trying to deal with a lot of the mum stuff that was still with me, even though I'd moved countries. And I stupidly, because I didn't know anything about personal development then, I thought, you just can run locations. You can just jump locations and it won't follow you. Wrong. It will follow you. Yeah. So I remember sitting there and the therapist said, what do you want to get out of this kind of grief counseling for all you've been through? And I said, I just want to be one of those people that, like super basic, like every day wake up happy. And if someone says,
super basic.
Someone says something to them, they don't even get triggered. They're like, no. Yeah. And I'm now one of those people.
Look at the craziness in my eyes. Love it.
Yes. No, I mean, like for me, that's a huge achievement because when you're a trauma baby, you grow up overthinking, analyzing, constantly triggered, living in a haze, living in that fight or flight mode. And then now I'm going to cry, but I get to wake up every day fueled by passion for doing things that actually helps people. I get to
Yeah.
use my way that I want. I make way more money every month. The universe provides for me than I
Mm,
ever make in my broadcasting career.
mm,
Um, and I get to choose to do quality work, and I get to be able to fly to see my mum whenever I want pre-pandemic.
yep.
And I'm loved by a really great man and some really great friends. I think that
Mm,
that's what I wanted for years. But because of all those things that were going on, I felt unsafe. So I held on to those jobs that didn't serve me, and
just to
what
pay the
you
bills.
when you're younger, hopefully someone sees this and I've helped them.
Of course, you're helping. You're sprinkling your wisdom and your joy throughout the world. That's reason why you're
That's
doing.
what you're
You're doing all
doing.
this amazing. Yeah, like we have to light up the darkness, right? So there you go. And that goes to the other quote. I really like. You said some really amazing things in the past. You said that um, when 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 you might be having some sad things in the closet, right? But you can still have a joyful life. I thought that was really cool. Like you're out there, you're on social media, you're dancing and stuff, but you can have some stuff in sad stuff in the closet, and but you can still have a joyful life and everything. So a lot of people think that you got to clear everything out, right? And in order to have a happy life, but you can still be joyful and everything and have some stuff going on. So that's really amazing.
I think that there's like, we all have stuff going on. We
Mm,
all have stuff going on I mean, I've got all these different coaching clients. Doesn't matter from where in the world they are. One of them's father is passing away from cancer. The father is alone because of COVID.
mm,
He can't even visits. They're doing video stuff, and we're laughing about how our parents use the video and put it too close to their
yeah.
face. And I mean, there is absolutely always, like I said, any of us blessed enough to even watch this on a device, which means we can afford a device,
Mm,
means that we should be joyful. There is stuff to be joyful about. Um, and you can take that from me, someone who's seen some really
mm.
traumatic things in her time. It's not me happy-go-lucky on Instagram dancing
No,
saying,
no, no, no. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot more to what's going on in your life. 100%. You picked up a lot of wisdom along the way, and I'm curious. But what about your routine, your daily routine? What do you tend to do? What's the day in the life of Simone Heng?
I am not the best person at this, but I'm work in progress. So I go to bed every night about around midnight. I used to do nighttime radios, so I was used to go to bed at 1 or 2. For me,
Okay,
midnight's pretty good. I
nice.
get up
So you're a night
eight.
person,
eight
or you're a morning person, or
um, I'm more of a daytime. I'm a
okay,
daytime person,
okay,
but I'm
yep,
not by any means a 5 a.m. person at all.
okay.
Okay, so 12, like sleeping 12 to 8 a.m. is my perfecto timing as a
Hmm.
36-year-old woman.
Okay.
I get up and I have oatmeal and some fruit cut into it and some Genmai chai Japanese tea. That's my breakfast. And I normally do that, you'll laugh, while watching one of my favorite documentaries on Netflix
What
or
is it?
on YouTube.
What's the documentary that you're watching?
I've watched almost all of the documentaries, so I'm constantly watching documentaries. You've just got to ask me, like, what is the
I was
latest
what
one?
I was
Right before
watching
we.
the what's that one? The guy that just got arrested. With I forgot the name, but there was a guy that just
Oh,
got
Weinstein. Oh no, not
yeah,
Weinstein.
yeah, once yeah. That was pretty
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I'm obsessed with documentaries. Actually, documentaries is how I learn. I learn more about the world and politics and things from documentaries than I do from news, because I'm a
Hmm.
storytelling person. So
Okay.
I will watch a documentary and I'll Google a bazillion things. But so much of what I do on stage and with my clients is about storytelling. So I just love listening to stories and being part of stories. So I love how documentaries present things.
Mm,
Um, so normally I do that over breakfast for 30 minutes.
nice.
And then I check the phone. Try not to check email first thing in the morning. I have coaching clients in North America, so most of the time they'll do a 9 a.m. And so by the time I get to the news and my email, it's like 11 a.m.
Mm,
So pretty, yeah, pretty late. And then we do emails from 11 to 12.
mm,
12:30 I'll have lunch or cook lunch and eat lunch. And
mm,
then I'm back down again doing work.
Yep.
And every day is different. Some days shooting for like an Instagram campaign or
Mm.
videos for TikTok, or other days it's writing speeches, going over coaching clients' work, doing online speaking gigs.
Awesome.
And then we wrap up at around 6:15 with a virtual workout class. But now I get to go back in person, which is great.
Yep.
And then I come down, and then I probably read or watch more Netflix and go to bed. So I like, this might sound like a really easy routine, but just a disclaimer, guys, I worked my butt off for 15 years in broadcasting. So now that I'm my own boss, no one's going to make me work those crazy days. Like I want 30. When we go into the fitness class, after that, I'll even tell my assistant, hey babe, I'll get back to you tomorrow on the stuff.
Yep.
Unless the one is dying.
Yeah.
But I must say, during the pandemic, I was separated from Paul, and in Singapore, you're not allowed to visit house to house. So I was doing 7-day weeks because I wasn't hanging out with him. So I just do work.
Yeah.
Now I have to cram in a 7-day work week into 5 days. And that's really, really difficult now. So I am overwhelmed. I'm glad that we booked this in well in advance.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. It was like a month. And I was thinking, yeah, she's really busy. So there you go.
But look, then we get around to it and I'm prepared. I got the makeup on and all this. Like, this is just for you. I'm taking this off afterwards.
It's all, what's behind that thing anyway?
Oh, the kitchen's behind there.
Oh, okay. So a lot of dirty dishes there. So
I live in a really old condo, so the tiles are like 70s tiles with brown on them.
Okay.
Not fun for anybody.
Heard there was I don't know whether it's a crude joke, but they said that behind every successful woman is a big pile of like dirty laundry. I don't know whether that's sexist or not, but it is true. So
no, I'm really good. I think behind every successful woman just needs to be a need to delegate and have a fantastic assistant. Like I've had some bad assistants, and now I have the most incredible assistant, and she's so good and has so much skin in the game for my business that when I find myself typing about the business, I type we, and I'm like, we, Simone, it's just you. Why isn't we? But because she has so much, she has so much skin in the game that it's we. She's my employee. That she doesn't at all make me feel like she's a vendor giving me her services. So that's more great advice if you're going to go out on your own.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way. It's not easy to. Sorry, 1 year. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you posted.
Business today.
Yeah. That post that you did, today was really amazing and showed you, your story about all that fear that you went through and this whole transition and everything. Like you did it. So yeah, congratulations. That's a big dream, So what advice would you give to someone who wants to achieve the dream like you?
Well, you've got to ask yourself what's motivating the dream, right? Like, because the dream could be anything. It could be, I want to get a boob job, or my dream is to start my own business. And I know there are a lot of people who want to start their own business. And I think that you just need to make sure that you are obsessed by the idea. This is how you know your dream will come true. I swear to you, if it's all you can think about. Like, I would be in meetings at the radio and people would be talking to me and my mind would just be dreaming and daydreaming and manifesting about the business. And it's a beautiful thing to do, to be able to dream and execute at the same time. That's how you see really rapid growth. But if you're not obsessed by it, I don't know whether it can happen. You've got to be obsessed, because when you're obsessed by it, you're sending out a constant RSS feed to the univeres to make
I love that RSS feed to the universe. Yeah,
it's a total RSS feed to the universe. It's like a direct phone line. Hello, universe. Today I would like 70,000 US keynote. Send it to me, and you wake up. It's amazing. Yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah,
love it. Okay, so how about I got another question as well. So if you were to step into a time machine, right, press a button, go back maybe 10 years, what would you say to your younger self?
I would say mend the relationship with your mum now, right?
That's deep.
So this time, 2020, so this time 2010, my mum actually came to Dubai to visit me around this time, and she was living with me, and we still had all of this stuff going on, and we fought And then one of my big regrets is she got the date of her flight mixed up, and I couldn't go and see her to the airport because I had to work on air in the evening in the radio. So it was like an early morning flight. And I arranged a special car for her and everything. And then she got the date wrong. She had to come back to the house. And I at that time, like we are our mothers most time, I couldn't wait for her to leave. And then I was really bummed that she was back. And I think of that now and I feel so guilty. Like, you know, that was the last time she was able to actually travel to visit me. And my sister later on told me she was really upset about it. But at the time I thought it was justified because I didn't understand that my mother had a disease. Like, we didn't know that what made her difficult was this disease that caused mood swings and pre-onset dementia. So when she would say mean and nasty things that would trigger me and end up in a fight, I didn't understand it wasn't her. So, but if I had just mended that then, I think a lot of the searching and the pain that came in the last 10 years or the last 8 years would have been completely non-existent.
Do you
So,
believe in,
and if you're watching, mend relationships with your family, your parents particularly, sooner than later.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Do you believe in the afterlife?
Yes.
Yeah?
You don't? Why are you giving me the face?
No, I'm not giving you a face. No, I totally believe in the afterlife. So that's one way I deal with things is I have to go through that process one day, but I keep reminding myself, you know, I'll be reunited in 10, 20 or even 30 years, I'm not too sure. So, and yeah, I think it's something that we all have to go through. Death is a doorway we have to go through. And you know, just the other night I was just reading up on how other people saw the afterlife, and they saw, you know, people who passed on, the previous dogs and everything. And yeah, there's nothing to worry about. You know, you're going to be reunited, you're going to see each other again. So, you know, that's how I sort of like deal with things. And yeah, so just curious. Yeah.
I have two big thoughts that give me most comfort. Number one is the thought that there is an afterlife. And a lot of the times when I'm really having a really stressful moment, particularly at my last job when I was being bullied by my boss, I would not just pray to the universe and to God. I would also pray to my dad, like as if my dad was like looking out for me. That's how strong my belief was in it. And also it gives you great comfort, right? And my other great belief is I must believe that we have more than one love in our lifetime. Because if I didn't believe that, then I would have to believe that all of the lonely widows and widowers that I've met, like my mum in that nursing home, would never find love again. And I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone. So they're my two big things. People like believe in the one, and I say, well, actually,
yeah, me too. I believe there's multiple. Yeah,
I would like to for me, but the truth is, I wouldn't want to condemn all those people.
Yeah.
To life alone after they've lost the loves of their lives. So no, and that's a new thing. You know, maybe in the last 5 years, but prior to that, I used to really think there was just only one person.
Okay. Your birthday. What was your birthday? November?
25th of April. Anzac Day.
April. Anzac Day. What's that? Is that a Leo or?
No, it's a Taurus.
Taurus. Taurus. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right then. Okay. So also you've got courageous speaking as well. That's your new baby. So tell us about
my new
that.
baby, because I don't have an actual baby. Courageous speaking. Courageousspeaking.com is the world's first online public speaking community created especially for busy executives. So we bite-sized chunk the courageous speaking webinars. They're monthly, plus you get support from me. And I wanted to put it at a price point that was pandemic friendly. So it's only $15 a month. And it's just like, we had 700 people on the first webinar. We've got almost 100 people in the community right now after only 3 weeks. And it just excites me so much. Like today, I spoke to someone who helps with Facebook ads. I've never boosted any ads for anything before. So I'm interested to see how it's doing because I want to maximize my time. And she said to me, you know, to be honest, like, we think you have potential for so much more. Like, why have you created such a low price point thing and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because I'm not all about money. I'm about mission.
Good times.
Yeah, like I want women in the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, I want people in Thailand to be able to want to better their public speaking and be able to attend this at a price point that they can afford. Because I
Mm,
have one-on-one coaching clients that pay me thousands, and I'm
mm,
only one person. There's only so many you can have. And then there's this whole other people, particularly Asians, that need another Asian teaching them public
yeah.
speaking. We
Mm,
have a whole bunch of other cultural concerns as to why we're scared to speak up, and that's to do with culture. And so someone who's not Asian will not be able to address those fears that
yeah.
inform their stage fright or lack of confidence. So I needed to create something for them, and at the price point which people in Southeast Asia outside of Singapore, because Singapore's like crazy rich Asian town, but
Mm,
outside of here, everywhere
mm,
else, they needed to be able to afford. So
mm,
that was the lowest that I could do it. And it's just been life-giving. It's so different, Kwai, than from like being paid to do corporates, where you do a big corporate event and everyone is made to be there because they have been asked by their company to sit through your speech.
mm,
It's such a different reaction than to sharing your knowledge with people who paid from their own pocket, who've got skin in the game, who believe in you, who love how you teach and what you teach, and then implement it. Like it's so different. So it really
mm,
did open my eyes a little bit just in
mm.
the act of creating this.
I think the way I see it with the courageous speaking is it's not just becoming a better speaker. It's a bigger mission. I think you've got a massive
It's
mission where,
very hard,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah, and like just and you just briefly mentioned about Asians can be a bit timid. Obviously, they can be a bit shy. They don't speak up, but when they see you up there, you're speaking, you start planting seeds. Like those people out there start saying, "Oh wow, Simone's out there. She's speaking. Seems really powerful. She's confident. I can do that." It's just that belief that you're changing in them,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. It's all
yeah,
about representation. I'm a
yeah,
5'1", young looking Asian woman,
mm,
where the archetype of what it was to be a speaker and expert was a 50-plus-year-old white man for years,
yeah,
for every generation before mine, before Me Too, Black Lives Matter, and
yeah,
the diversity conversation happened in the US. And that obviously filters down to global cities like Singapore. And if anything is to go by, the last online speaking gig I did, every single person on that panel was Asian. So it's Asian speakers speaking to Asian audiences. That's really exciting. It's an exciting
mm,
time to be a speaker.
yeah,
And so I I can only do my best to like keep researching and keep getting better on the topic and
mm,
keep interviewing more people like what you're doing, but for my particular niche,
mm,
so that I can serve people better, and
mm.
serve my people better, like show up better representing Asians on global stages, because there aren't many of us, frankly.
No, we got to represent. So,
Yeah, not many female ones either. But that said, when I was starting out in radio, there were, Asians on the radio in the Middle East. I
mm,
was back on air in Australia for Southern Cross Austereo, like hardly any. It's not something that our parents told us to do.
exactly.
Yeah. Babe, what's your story? Tell me what's your story? Like, how did you start this? And
Yeah, well, for me, well, I started off as just reading a lot of the Tony Robbins stuff, Brian Tracy, all the personal development stuff, and I got really into it. I love the whole motivation, and I'm really just, I discovered how, um, it you have to really learn a lot about people, and everyone's got a really interesting story to share. And then over the years, I just had an idea of doing my own podcast, and I just, dabbled in it as well, and then I decided, okay, I'm just going to go full time into this. I'm just going to try and find really good people to, talk to and just learn from. And yeah,
you quit your job and you're doing this full time now?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah,
Eh?
yeah. And then just, yeah, well, I've got my own like, web design company as well. So I'm just earning,
You can do it from home.
I can do that from home as well. And, yeah, I can hire people or whatever. So yeah. And then, yeah, but this is my long-term game where, yeah, get to interview people like yourself and just push out really good content and just do it for the next, 10, 20, 30 years and just the rest of my life. So yeah, it's not really, I'm
How,
not doing it just for just money or anything like that. It's just, I just love it. So I just love meeting people like yourself and just learning it as well. So yeah, that's me.
babe,
Mm.
good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
And you're in Sydney now, so you grew up in Perth and then you left?
Yeah. So, grew up in Perth and, yeah, it's, it's not really a fast place, but then I always had dreams of traveling. So then I booked my flight ticket to go around the world, went around the world for a few months. And then, yeah, I stayed in Singapore for a bit, stayed in Philippines, and then went back to Perth and went over to Sydney. And yeah, did the whole traveling stuff. And I'm very ambitious, extremely ambitious. I'm always, I want to do this, want to do that. And yeah, it just never ends. So yeah.
Look, I think that's incredible.
Mm.
I think that's incredible. Like, yeah, be driven. Like, it's not
life is short, right?
Life is short. There's no other way to live. Like, I see my partner, even though he's a banker and he has earned well consistently. So I'm probably only earning well now, but like when you're in the media, you're hustling for your extra gigs and this to have a decent income. And he looks at me and sometimes I see like the envy in his eyes because I have that mission. So it's like, would you trade? It's a literal in a partnership. One person who lives by money and one person who lives by mission. And there's not a day that goes by that I envy his part of the deal. Because I truly, if you have mission, you can earn money too. But
he looks very mature though, like your partner.
He's 50, yeah. But if he had pursued, he's so good at what he does and he's so capable in general and responsible, like he's a real man. Like if he had his purpose early on and used all these pragmatic skills that he has to execute, like he's really into fitness, for example. So he could have built a business around fitness and it could be something massive by now, but he would have had to go through a lot of years of discomfort and he didn't want that. So I think it's a certain type of person that's willing to go through the years of discomfort to get, like I had to do 15 years of discomfort. That's not true. Dubai was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
10 years of discomfort.
Yeah.
To get to the good juice. Whereas I know by Paul's character, just everything about him, that he's just not made like that. So you've got
to go the safe route where he just needs to make sure that money goes in every month, and he needs certainty, right? But you thrive in uncertainty, right?
No. I've learned to live with uncertainty. I think this should have been the podcast, but I think when Dad died, I had lived with certainty and was thrown into uncertainty. And I literally think it took 10 years to process it before
10 years.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm like, oh, shit will happen that I can't control. I wasn't somebody, but Paul is very controlling. And also, I don't think it's just about wanting the paycheck. I think people who go into finance on some level love the accoutrements that come with being in finance.
Does he love finance? Does he love it? Well, he sounds like he loves the fitness more than the finance.
No, I think he did when he started. And I think certain people work really well being promoted
Career ladder, right? Yeah.
Mentally.
Yeah, okay.
And he's just one of those people. I'm not. Like, I do terrible in organizations. Like, I'm too arty. Like, I'm not going to be fit for anyone making me manager or moving me up because I'm just too unpredictable. Whereas some people are really good at fulfilling the key performance index and then just like moving up. And he's one of those people. So I think a big thing for entrepreneurship too is like, you need to know what animal you are. You've obviously worked as a web designer and had your own business for years. Freelance for years. So you know how to fill your time and days. It doesn't come naturally to everyone.
That's really interesting. That's so different personality types. So
yeah, know thyself. Know thyself.
Did you do the DISC? Did you do the? Yeah. Did you? I think you've done the DISC personality profile, right? You're probably dominant, influential.
I've done Enneagram and I've done Myers-Briggs.
What's yours?
I'm the same as Obama in Myers-Briggs, the protagonist type.
Protagonist. Is that ENFP or ENF?
Yeah, ENFJ.
Are you an EFJ?
I can't remember. I just know that it's the protagonist. If you Google
I'm
protagonist.
a protagonist as well. I'm ENFJ as well. So extroverted. Yeah, extroverted, intuitive, judgmental, and very feeling type of person as well. Yeah.
So then do the Enneagram. Have you done the Enneagram?
What's the Enneagram? I've heard of that one. What is that?
Taught me everything. I'll write it to you in the chat. It tells you not your characteristics, but it tells you what you're motivated by in life. And I'm in Enneagram type 7, which is motivated by excitement, which is why I should never have been in a full-time job ever. That is why. Because that routine. Like I do like a routine how I work, but I like being surprised. I love opening my inbox and getting a new speech inquiry or a, yeah.
And you love the chase, right? You love chasing and capturing things.
Yes.
I knew it. That's where
And
you.
I think one thing about getting older, which is amazing, is like you're no longer running a race against other people to capture things. It's just me. I'm just running against me to see if I can capture absurd things that I should not even have a right to, but I believe the universe has my back to acquiring.
Yeah.
Like some of the things that I ask for are outrageous.
Because I'm not getting stuff from the universe because the universe is too busy fulfilling your order. There's all this stuff that you're trying to get. I'm still waiting in line.
No, it will, but it will give it to you at the timing that you that is not up to you. It will give it to you at the time that you need. Trust me, I asked for a boyfriend for 8 years.
Yeah, that's yeah, I know. Well, I saw that, and I thought that maybe not a lot of guys can handle you and stuff like that. It was a bit maybe that.
Yeah, I think someone like Paul, for example, is like really.
But he looks like he can. He looks like he can handle, like,
He's 50. He don't give a shit. Everything I do is like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like,
entertainment. He doesn't take any of the things I say seriously. He thinks I'm so funny. But if you look at, so today I had a coaching client. We spoke about her divorce and she was talking about very similar background to me in terms of like childhood trauma and early trauma. And she really couldn't have gotten. I said, so she started doing the self-development work and having the big awakenings, but except she was married, and that actually forced them apart. And I said to her, do you think that if you are the person you are now after all of the therapy, self-work, would you have chosen a different husband? And she said, without a doubt, yes. And that's why I've always believed that the universe waited so long to give me Paul, because the men that I was choosing to date when I hadn't processed my trauma and was being triggered are a completely different human to what I needed, which is Paul. They are just, you wouldn't even, like, I never even looked at Paul. I've known Paul since 2007, since I first moved to Singapore. Never even looked at Paul. Wasn't interested. Was looking at the things that my trauma, my feelings of unlovability and unwantedness because of my family trauma were telling me to date the kind of man that didn't really want me, right? It's a very specific, rare kind of man that wants an alpha female. You know this, right?
Yeah.
Just as rare as there are alpha females, it's just as rare to find the kind of man that would find that masculinity and ambition attractive. It's that rare. So it is one every 8 years. So I'm not time. But I think that that's really interesting. I think, yeah, God, the Simone 10 years ago, if I had ever gotten married or pregnant then at 26, I would definitely be. It would be a different person, or worse off, I probably would never have gotten to resolve all the issues and felt connection and belonging. And it's only when we feel connected and like we belong, if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that you get self-actualization and self-esteem. You cannot get there if you have trauma telling you don't belong and that you're unlovable and unwanted. So you got to solve that so you can get to self-actualization. That's the only way.
You've really cleared the bond, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, honestly, it's I do believe there's such a thing as addiction to.
After this, I just want to get some therapy right now.
When I watch the Queer Eye guys on Netflix, they reference so much therapy stuff, and I have a little giggle because Jonathan would be like, that is little T trauma. When someone's talking about someone who died in their lives, I'm like, Jonathan, I hear you. Like those boys, like Karamo, do you know that Karamo used to beat his partner, who's also another male? But Karamo used to beat his partner, and he talked about this on this podcast, and I was like, wow. So all of them have been, Jonathan and Karamo at least, have been through some really big therapy, and they referenced it on the show. And I thought, if these guys can make it mainstream, I'm going to talk about it in Asia. I know it's not going to make people feel comfortable, but I'm hoping a public figure, it'll make people feel that it's more accessible and that it can help them, because it's absolutely changed my life. I never thought I could be this happy.
That's amazing. I can see the glow coming out from you right now. You know,
And
you just
hey, babe, and I know because I have photos of when I would fake the glow. Like I have photos in Dubai where I'm like, and you can see that my eyes are like just freaking out. It's such a different.
Mm. But you said that beauty losing, it's a losing race with beauty. That is so
Oh,
cool.
I love that
That
video.
is
That's
so good. That's I'm gonna get a t-shirt on that one, you know, because yeah, we're trying our best to look our best, right? And also with fame as well. Fame is anonymity, right? You said that. It was really good.
yeah.
Anonymity work,
Just
yeah,
put that
waiting to
true
happen.
figure. Name is anonymity,
Yeah, so
and
good.
it
Mm,
is. I can't believe how many people want to be famous. I've had a little bit of it, and I'm like, guys, you know that no one remembers people from even 10 years ago unless you're
mm,
mega famous. And even now, like, it's so funny. I watch all these old documentaries. I told you I watched documentary after documentary.
yeah.
I watched on HBO the other day a documentary of Judy Garland. Half the people in the Judy Garland documentary, if you ask my generation, unless they were massive Hollywood buffs like me, they would not
Mm,
know who they were. If
mm,
you talk to Generation Z now and you said, "Who's Judy Garland?"
yeah, yeah.
they'd be like, "What?" There's, it's
But,
anonymity. Fame is anonymity waiting to
mm,
happen.
yeah,
Don't live fame.
yeah, some like you said about some people know about Michael Jackson, but no, not a lot of people know about Elvis Presley. I'm thinking, holy shit, you know, Elvis Presley was pretty big back then, but because of the fame, now he's like fading away, right? It's so weird. Just and I was making me think about today. I mean, what can you do to maintain that legacy? What can you do? Maybe just write a book, or you know,
Yeah, I was
what do
going
you
to
do,
tell you.
right? Yeah.
Latest documentary I'm watching on Netflix, Diary of Anne Frank. It's called hashtag Parallel Lives, Anne
Yeah.
Frank. And
Mm.
she wrote in her diary as a 14-year-old girl. I
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
watched this just before
I went
I,
to the Anne Frank house as well in Amsterdam, and
yeah,
yeah, it's
and
yeah, yeah.
they showed in the documentary, but she writes in the diary, she said, all I know is that I want, if I disappear, I want a little piece of me, something like this, to be left
Mm,
behind for this world. I don't want to just be here to live a normal existence like other people. And it was so
mm,
prophetic.
yep.
So it is the book. For other
So,
people, it's their children. It's their children. The
mm,
children of the legacy. But actually, I've seen so much death and death about happen that I think we're just here to do the best we can and be as kind and as compassionate and contribute as much as we can before we go.
mm,
Even the famous people, that's what they're trying to do. But I think, you know, wanting to be immortalized and wanting to chasing the dream of being immortalized has to be formed on some small need or impetus that happened in childhood. That's more therapy for you. People want to be left like in
it,
stone. Like I watch all this, you know, Greek and Roman dramas where, oh, you will be remembered by the ages, like in Vikings.
mm,
And I think that, yeah, you wouldn't be there to enjoy it. Who would care? What is that? Then what is that propelled by? Ego. That's propelled by the ego.
yeah,
Ego is the enemy, guys.
true, true. I know. Yeah, I remember. Like, I dated this one girl, and she, her ex used to be. Oh, well, she was in her she was about 27, but one of her exes was about in his 50. He was about 55 or something like that. But then the father, like, she didn't have a father figure in her life. And I figured that, oh, maybe she was doing that just to fill that part of her life, you know. So just have that father figure, and it's, you know, it's there, you know. So it's
Famous
based on,
John
yeah,
Mayer song. It's in a
mm,
famous John Mayer song. He says, "Fathers, be good to your daughters, because daughters will love like you do. Girls
mm,
become mothers. Girls become lovers, then they become mothers. So
mm,
mothers be good to your daughters too."
mm,
That whole song is about how people pick their partners.
amazing.
You just Google that song,
Mm,
John.
mm.
I
John
think it's
Mayer.
called John Mayer, and it's called Daughters.
Daughters, yeah, okay.
Put it in the chat. Oh my god!
This
Every
stuff
time
is gold.
I was like, John Mayer is so intelligent. But I would say, Kwai, if you want to make some huge, like, jumping leaps,
Mm,
the most amount of progress that I've made from September until now, like in terms of earnings in my business,
okay.
even the pandemic, has been because I found people who did similar work to me, but in other countries, found them through LinkedIn. And I have some here in Singapore, and we've formed like pods. And so besides my partner, you know, they say you're the average of the 5 people you're surrounded by. I completely changed who I was surrounded by. And it keeps my mind so sharp and so lean and void of like rubbish that it's like sharpening a blade. So if there's one thing I would say for you to do and to leave you on is like, think really carefully about that. Easier said than done for me because I'm away from my family. So any toxic family, I can just, if you have any toxic family, not so easy to do if you live in that city. But people used to say that to me, and I was not very discerning. I used to think, oh no, everyone's so lovely, because I didn't think enough of myself. So I felt grateful that I just had friends. I can say that now I have a true rock star team that's on Team Simone. And when you're surrounded by people who want you to win, you actually start winning.
Definitely. Yeah. When I was growing up and stuff, I was always surrounded by, a lot of that negative friends who they weren't ambitious or anything. But then over the years, I sort of like started cutting them out. And then it just became just me, So then I started pushing out all this content and stuff. And then I started just meeting a lot of people online, not in my current, not in Sydney, but just people online. I just got friends online that's really ambitious and they're just doing all these amazing things. So that's sort of like my network at the moment, is that they're just all digital, So it's
and it makes you feel less lonely. Like everyone my age in Singapore that I know of is now having their second child already. They're the first one at 32, the second one at 36. So I can't talk to them about these things. Particularly, I can't talk to men about it because the male speak. So finding other women who are all on the same.
It's a bit hard, right? Yeah, it's very rare.
They're fucking amazing, and we're all on each other's teams, and we support each other on socials, and we have long, deep Skype conversations. And then I have my partner, and of course my mum, and a couple of best friends in Switzerland and Australia. That's all I freaking need, bro.
I want to start a community called ENFP or ENFJs Unite, so that we all get together. We just like
a community. Like I create little pods, like 4 people pods of women speakers, and I of course have the courageous speaking community that I try and bring that same feeling of in the pods to the community. But I'm massive on starting little groups on group chat on WhatsApp or whatever like that, just because it's going to change the race. It's like before doing Olympic relay with just you wanting to win and the other 3 just kind of like half in it. Or secretly wanting you to drop the baton. That was tough for me, for alpha female.
Love it.
The amount of women you have that don't want you.
You're up against the female part component where they're trying to pull you down. It's the crab mentality. It's really difficult.
It's really difficult.
And you're being judged when you're on stage. You're being judged by your shoes and your dress and everything. It's just the girls are not really listening to it. They're just judging you what you wear and everything. And it's I can't imagine how tough it could be. But you keep pushing, right? That's awesome. That's so cool.
I think the longer you're in the game, the more oblivious you get of that stuff. And I try and have that game sorted as the minimum, and then really, because the thing is, if you're really, really good, all they can do is hate on your shoes. That's the only. Oh, that's a quote.
Let's get a t-shirt on that.
That's a t-shirt. Like
that's another quote from Simone Heng.
The only thing they can find to hate on is your shoes.
Last question is, how can people get in contact with you as well?
Oh my God, I would love to get in contact with you guys. I would love to have a connection. And I actually do reply to everyone. So you can find me on LinkedIn, just put Simone Heng in there, or on Instagram at Simone Heng. Facebook is Simone Heng Official. And if you're interested in courageous speaking, go to courageousspeaking.com, and then simoneheng.com. If you're going to go and nosy, or as we're saying, look at all my stuff, you can go there as well.
Got a lot of good stuff. Awesome.
Thank you so much for taking note of all these things I've been posting. My goodness. I had
Yeah,
no
well,
idea.
I have to research. I listen to the podcast, what you're doing as well. Try and get the best, the good stuff, and
You're
yeah, share it with
amazing.
everyone. So yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing, and yeah, I saw everything what you're doing, and I just knew that it's just a message that needs to be shared with other people, and there should be more people like yourself out there that's inspiring more people, and yeah, representing as well. So that's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for doing what you're doing because you're you're the knowledge broker,
The
right?
knowledge
You're the
broker, yeah, maybe.
the cows. That's what they call it, the knowledge broker.
Wheeling dealing, yeah.
Well, without you, the message would be shared. So
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome. Well, Simone, I really appreciate your time today. Once again, I wish you, all the best for future endeavors, and I know that you're going to be touching the lives of, millions of people in the near future. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing and inspiring, and keep lighting up the darkness. So thank you.
Thank you, my love.
No worries.